I'm Hogan. I'm an attorney here in Rutherford County in Middle Tennessee. I do divorce work every day. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about uncontested divorces and uncontested divorces with children and without. Um, what is an uncontested divorce? An uncontested divorce is a divorce where the parties have agreement on all the issues and there's nothing for a judge to decide. A contested divorce is one where there's issues that a judge would have to decide. So we're going to talk about this divorce by agreement today. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is about the process. Now, it can be very difficult and laborious and expensive or not. And we're going to talk about the or not here. Uh, we do this kind of work every day. Uh, we can we have a process that makes it easier to get through, that it's less expensive and takes less time. The courts here have some mechanisms that help us get this done quicker, and it really works out well for the parties. Now, we're going to talk about the uncontested divorce without children first. And the primary document that makes this happen is the marital dissolution agreement. And this marital dissolution agreement, it covers all your property, your agreements to resolve all your property division issues. Let's talk about property, the kinds of property there is. There's separate property and then there's marital property. Separate property is any property that you owned before the marriage, and gifts and inheritances received during the marriage. That's your property by operation of law. Marital property is property that was acquired during the marriage that can be an asset or a debt. Let's an example of separate property would be maybe a car that you owned before the marriage and you still have it at the time of the divorce. That's your property by operation of law. Um, Marital property would be here's an example that comes up from time to time. Let's say on the debt side, let's say there's a Home Depot credit card that one of the spouses took out. Other spouse didn't know about it. On the card was tools. The uh, the other spouse never used any tools, didn't know anything about, didn't even know about the credit card, but it was in one spouse's name. That's a marital debt. It's a debt occurred during the marriage. Um, Oftentimes, parties resolve that debt by whoever made the debt keeps the debt. And if that's your agreement, that's what you can do. But if it went to court, then the court would divide that debt equitably. There is a classification of property called personal property and real property. Personal property is anything that can move. Um, Car, furniture, um, TVs, uh, all your contents in your house. Real property is property that you can't move, like land or a house. A trailer could be real property. Sometimes it's personal property. But you'd come to agreements on the division of all this property too. Some parties uh, draw up a list for the property they want to keep and give it to the other party, and that kind of starts the negotiation and kind of separates um, the personal property. Uh, what about a house? What if we had a house? How do we divide that? Well, there's two or three ways you can do that. One, you could auction it. Two, you could put it on the market to sell. If you do that, you're looking at paying some expensive real estate fees. It's around 6%. Um, and then you could divide the net equity after that, and you could divide that whatever your agreement is. if it's 50-50 or if it's 60-40, whatever it is. You could also refinance the land or the house. That's an economical way of doing it. You're saving the 6% there, right? So that helps put more money in your pockets. You can still divide the net equity at closing on the refi. And that's kind of the nuts and bolts to property division on a divorce without children. Now, if you have children, you have the same property division process, but in addition to that, you have what we call, or what is called, a parenting plan. Now, to be clear, this is a parenting plan, sure. There's a statute that covers it, but it's a parenting plan order. It's not a suggestion, it's a court order. You can agree to this, of course, in a divorce by agreement, but it's still enforceable by the contempt powers of the court once a judge signs it. I just want to be clear that it's just not a plan, but it's a court order. Marital dissolution agreement's enforceable just as well. But on your parenting plan, some of the key issues are visitation, child support, and on the visitation schedules, that's what you decide by agreements. A very popular plan now is, people call it a 50-50. Often do 1 week on, 1 week off. But every situation's different. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes one spouse doesn't want to see the children as much as the other. But we can help you devise that parenting plan and help you put together a plan that will be accepted by the court. Sometimes people come up with plans that won't be accepted by the court, just for some reason that's what they want, or it works well into their schedule. Here's an example. Some people, when a child is real young, 1 or 2, they want to see the child 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes they'll do a 2-2-3 visitation scheme. And that might be okay initially while the child's a newborn, but as the child gets older, it creates a lot of instability with the child, and it's really not in the child's best interest. So I'd really caution you on that. We see some long-term problems with schedules where there's a lot of exchanges. So the best thing to do is to try to create a plan in the best interest of your child, because that's what you both want. It's what's best for your child. Child support. How is child support determined? Child support law was changed several years ago, and now the way it's determined, it's done by computer calculation. It's based on how much income the father makes, how much income the mother makes, how many days the father gets in visitation in a year, how many days the mother gets in visitation for a year, who pays the insurance, who pays the daycare. All of that goes into the child support worksheet and spits out a number. And we can help you all the way through that process and explain that process to you. That's kind of the long and short of uncontested work. I work for myself. I don't have a bunch of hungry lawyers to feed. My rates are real reasonable. And we can help you with this process and make it inexpensive and very and as less intrusive as possible. My phone number is 615-686-8491. We look to hear from you.